Welcome back to the Triathlon Preview Show, episode 17. First episode of the new year here.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, so we started off with some nice new music. Emily, tell us about that music we just had.
Yeah, so my friend Whit Raymond, he does a lot of race announcing kind of all around the country, triathlons, marathons. He does Spartan races. He used to live in Napa. He became cooler than Napa and has moved up to the hotbed of Bend, Oregon, so he could ski a lot. But anyway, he did our intro. So thank you, Whit. And if you guys want to look him up, it's Whit, I think witsbits.com.
Awesome. Yeah, we also have a new update on a sponsor for the whole 2016. Rudy Project has signed on again for the Triathlon Preview Show and also Fantasy Triathlon. You can get 40% off on Rudy Project gear by using the code TRIPREVIEW. Or if you go to fantasytriathlon.com, the top banner ad has a direct link to the website.
Yeah, hopefully everybody is playing this weekend with Dubai and Panama kind of kicking off the fantasy triathlon year.
Yeah, but everything's slowly get going again for the 2016 season. You know, 2 good races this weekend. Takes a little break again, but we'll have some good races before the North America season kicks off down in Australia.
Yep. So which one are we going to talk about first today? Dubai?
Yeah, we'll start with Dubai, Emily. What about the course in Dubai? I know we have some weather conditions there.
Yeah, you said you were talking to Jocelyn McCauley. She's kind of our lone, I think, USA representative over there, but they're supposed to get some high winds. So they have 3 options for the swim if those high winds, do happen. Option A is swimming in the harbor. I guess it's more protected. And then you jump out and then you have to run around somewhere and then jump back in and finish. So it would still be 1.2 miles. Option B is 2 loops in the harbor with kind of your Aussie style exit where you get out and run around something and then jump back in. And then option C would only be 1 loop in the harbor. So it would be, half the distance, 0.6 miles. So hopefully they are able to get them in the water because I think could really affect the race. Bahrain 70.3 was only a bike run. And I mean, it definitely played into the results, I think, especially on the men's side with Bart Arnout's kind of taking the win. And he's someone who usually comes out of the water a little bit behind.
Yeah, definitely. I think weather conditions, the wind at least, is going to be a factor no matter what. For Dubai, a little update. I mean, not update, but just information. The race here in North America, United States, will be Thursday night, correct? Because it's a Friday morning race. So just remember that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, who knows what kind of live coverage they're going to have on Ironman.com, but I'm sure they'll have at least text updates, maybe from transition per usual. But the bike is just kind of your 1 loop, generally out and back. So if it's windy, they're gonna have a tailwind and then a headwind. And hopefully this year, after last year's debacle on the bike where the signs got blown over, remember, and everybody went the wrong. Not everybody, but a few people went the wrong way. Hopefully they learn from that and they will put kind of tape on the road or something to point people in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully the winner will not get lost again.
Yeah. And then the run is 3 loops kind of along the beach. And I assume if it's windy, that could affect the run. There might be some portions where they're running into a headwind. And also, I think that run is kind of along this boardwalk thing that can be a little bit springy and weird. I remember last year people were kind of running maybe in the middle or down the sides to stay off of it. So just a little kind of something that you'll see if they have cameras on people.
Yeah, as far as the live coverage, I have heard that they're trying to do it a little bigger, so there could be better live coverage than a normal, 70.3 av. Nothing.
Well, I mean, 2 weeks ago we did learn that this is the first stop in the Triple Crown. I mean, you knew before if you had watched the grainy announcement video that kind of happened during the Bahrain awards ceremony. But as we saw on, I think it was the TRS forum, and I saw some things on Facebook. Not everybody knew that this was going to be the first stop in the Triple Crown, and then they announced it after the pro cutoff, for entry. So interesting.
There definitely was not a big press release about it. Let's say that. Yes.
Yeah. So
but it looks like the organizers thought there was, that they thought that everybody else should know it was the first stage.
Right. We should just know. I get it. I get it. We'll all do our research next time. So looking at the men's start list, the lucky men who get to vie for the Triple Crown, I would have to think that your favorites are kind of Terenzo Bozzone and Jan Frodeno. Jan is just, he doesn't like to lose, and if he's in somewhat good shape, I feel like he's gonna do well. I mean, you'll have people like Josh Amberger who will be up near the front, but then he'll blow up on the run per usual. And then number 9, Manuel Kug, or however you say his last name. He was one guy, he was in the lead last year. I don't know if you remember this, and he actually did the whole course. He didn't get taken around that little roundabout. So, and I think last year he ended up like tearing his quad in the finish shoot, sprinting with someone. So he's kind of back and ready to go. And then also Sam Appleton is out. He is not going to be going.
And then we also have Bart from Belgium.
Yeah, and Bart is definitely someone who's going to he would have a big benefit if the swim is shortened, or if something happens and they have to go to option D where there's no swim. I think they seem to really be trying to get people in the water. So hopefully that happens. I feel like Jan Frodeno might have some extra motivation. His wife is just about ready to have a baby, so it'd be nice to kind of kick off the season with a win, go home, and welcome a new baby to the family. So he's got some exciting things going on. And then you have David Please, who he was announced to have just joined the Bahrain 13 team. So maybe he wants to kind of go out and impress his new sponsors.
Yeah, it's also good to mention about Jan, though. I mean, she's due any day now, though, right? That's correct?
I think she's like
it could happen tomorrow, right? I mean, in theory is so.
I think she's like 38 weeks. So she's not 40 weeks. But I mean, I think from what I know about pregnancies, which is not much, I think you can have the baby, like, it's fine if you have the baby like anytime after 36 weeks. But usually, like with the first baby, if it's normal, you usually go the full 40, I think. So maybe like they did a checkup and they're like, she doesn't look like it's going to be happening. So he's like, okay, I'll just take a quick trip. And then I wouldn't be surprised if he's on like the flight out, Friday afternoon just to get back.
We do have a lone U.S. representative, Brad Williams, there. Big bad Brad.
Yeah, good old Brad. Yeah, heading over there to Dubai. Is he living in Europe or is he back in the United States?
I know he was in California for a bit. I'm not sure where he is now, though.
Oh, okay. And then, the women's field is 13, and I think kind of your of the field are going to be Reef, Stefan, and Abram. And then I feel like the rest of the gals, unless someone has a great race, like Andrea Forrest has done some good things in Australia. So she's finished on the podium. So she might be someone who could sneak in there if someone has an off day. But a shortened swim would also help out Corinne Abram. So it'll be interesting. And then also, how Sutto had written something like Danielle is doing this race and then she's taking 3 months off. I don't know what that is to mean, if she's just, going to train and not race, or if she's like taking 3 months off. I don't know what her plans are. I remember hearing something that she was thinking of maybe doing like cycling time trial in the Olympics or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I can't imagine like she wouldn't come back to do an Ironman and the defender title, but I don't know.
Yeah, that last post by Brett about Reef was very interesting to say the least. I mean, he mentioned that she wouldn't focus on the Triple Crown this year. It was kind of very skeptical, the whole blog post, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, Brett's kind of someone who's a little bit of a game player, so you don't know like what he's actually thinking or what's actually going to happen. But he made it sound like, you know, he said something like Iron Man burnout is real. So, you know, I don't know if she just needs a break. I mean, that would be no fun if she wasn't going to be in Kona. But you
I
know,
mean,
Chrissy retired like in the middle of it all. So who the hell knows?
okay, so taking out Reef and Jan, because I think they're the two easy picks, who is going to win besides those two?
I don't know how fit Bazone is because he just did a relay in Taupo because I think he had a little bit of an injury. Um, you know, Bart Arnouts, I think he's in a good place. I don't know how much of a break he took after Bahrain 70.3, but I think he's probably someone to look at. I think he'll run really well. And then on the women's side, um, I'll go with number 66, Corinne Abram.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right. Should we head over to this side of the earth and talk about Panama down there in Central America?
Yeah, let's talk about this race. It's interesting. Actually, when I looked at these two races on the same weekend, it was very interesting. So on one hand, they have the exact same amount of prize money, but the Panama race has more KPR points because it's a Pan American Pro Championship. So it's interesting to see the difference in the start list. I mean, I don't think Panama's not really close to anything. Sure, it's close to the U.S., but I mean, not really. You know, and people could have easily gone to Dubai, you know, if they had known about the Triple Crown. So it's definitely interesting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, people like Tim Reed, I mean, he flew all the way from Australia. So, I mean, he could have, I don't know exactly what the flight time is from, you know, Australia to Dubai, but it's probably it's a long haul a little bit, but he's definitely doing a long haul to get here.
Exactly. Yes.
So I feel like it's points, you know, which tells you a lot. Like it's a points thing, you
It
know?
definitely is. I mean, I actually did talk to Reed, and it all is a points thing. He says the only things he's focusing on this year are the 70.3 regional championships. So where the 70.3 is a big KPR points, and then he'll pick a random Ironman, and he wants to get back to Kona. But I mean, he is targeting high KPR point races.
Right. And I mean, that makes sense because this is a P1500. So you can have up to like 270.3s on your KPR, like if you're going for Kona. So if you get two kind of really high points ones, like that's great, especially for the men. They don't have to amass quite as many points as the women. So if he's got, you know, he gets even just 1,000 points at two of these races, that's 2,000. And then he doesn't have as much pressure in his Ironman to like
Yeah, exactly.
win.
Agreed.
So, I mean, it's definitely a good thing. And I mean, I think Matt Charbat is doing a bit of the same thing. He doesn't have an Ironman on his schedule, and actually, until Kona, because he did Chattanooga, and then he is actually doing some cycling races for Primal Audi. It's a cycling team, I think, out of Colorado, like in New Mexico and stuff. So it's interesting.
All right, let's talk about the course, get that out of the way, and then we
Yeah.
definitely will continue talking about the start list. The swim, obviously, is down current, correct?
Yeah, which is not going to do anything to help break things up. It's, you know, that paper bag swim, like even a paper bag would complete the swim. So I think things will stay together there. The bike is out and back ×2. So they're going to run into the race is sold out. It's a big race. So there's definitely going to be some traffic on the second loop. And then the run is 2 loops out and back kind of along the ocean, and it's flat, but it'll be definitely hot and windy. or maybe hot. I don't know about windy. We'll see.
Definitely gonna be hot. When I check the weather out, it's low 90s and humid, obviously, right on the ocean. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I did a race in Costa Rica, which is just kind of north of Panama. And it was March, and it's pretty darn hot.
Yeah, we actually got several emails back from a couple of the athletes saying that they're all using the sauna technique. I mean, there are some of them that are definitely using it to get ready for this 90-degree heat in the winter.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny because like you read, like Lionel Sanders is using the sauna thing, but he uses the sauna thing like every single day. And I'll link to it in the show notes, but I've read some kind of articles saying that they've done some tests, and usually like you can get kind of a increase in your blood plasma volume just by doing it like 4 to 6 days before. And then they've actually found that if you do it for like 30 days, it kind of like levels off or even goes down. So it doesn't take much. So it's not like a thing that you need to do constantly, but I mean, God bless him. Lionel just gets into something and like he goes full bore. It's like, okay, I'm going to train in the heat every single workout. So, I mean, more power to him. I think maybe at this point, though, maybe he should just move somewhere hot.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Kona.
Yeah, Kona might be a good one. I mean, I don't know if his fiance has like a job and they can't leave, but oh my God, I just can't imagine the mildew that's growing in that room that he trains in. But anyway,
All right, let's just start talking about the male list then. I mean, it's filled with, I think, good talent between Matt Charbat, Luke McKenzie, Tim Reed, Lionel Sanders, Matt Hansen, Jeff Simons. I'm only halfway down the list.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a race where you're going to have, I mean, the swimmers aren't going to get as big of a gap, but they'll definitely have a little bit of a gap. Like Charbat, McKenzie will be up there, Reed, probably Paul Matthews is a pretty good swimmer. I can't remember if Galindez can swim real well. Maybe, you know what? I think he can because I think he was ITU. So you'll kind of have a group up front, and then you'll have your group of like Matt Hansen and Jeff Simons and Lionel Sanders kind of coming from behind, but they're just not going to be as far back as they usually are. And I feel like this early in the season, you just don't know exactly where people's fitness is. And honestly, like sometimes I don't think they know exactly where their fitness is. And like, I feel like the race is going to be won and lost on that run. I think, some people will do fine in the heat. Matt Charbat has gotten second here before. I think, he'll probably be fine. And then other people might melt a little bit. So, I think that'll be kind of the story of the day, and that's where you'll see the shuffling happening.
And we talk about Tim Reed coming from Australia. I mean, it is the summer down there, so if anybody has real heat, he's the one that has the real heat.
Yeah, and Luke has been in Noosa the last ever since I think November, December. He won that Ironman in early December and then took a bit of a break, but he's been training in Noosa, so don't know exactly how fit he is, but he'll definitely be kind of used to the heat. Him and Beth are coming over from there, so they'll probably be fine. It'll just be interesting to see how the Lionel's heat protocol goes, and he'll definitely give it his all, and I'm sure he's fit and ready to go. It'll just that kind of race fitness. Sometimes it takes a while to kind of get sharp, maybe.
Yeah, Luke, I think, and Beth were just at in Chicago. They were at the Gatorade facility doing some testing.
Yeah, which is interesting. When I was a paralegal, I knew some people at Gatorade, and we were trying to set up a test for me to go in. And this was when I was an age grouper, but we were never able to make it happen. I had like trials and stuff, and they had certain days they could do it. But the protocol, hopefully they did a shortened protocol, because I got the protocol that they do. My God, you have to like pee in this thing for days, and then the test is in like a chamber. They make it like Kona, and you have to do like a half Ironman bike at half Ironman effort, and then you have to get off and run on the treadmill at half Ironman effort, and then you have to do all this peeing again for another day. So hopefully they did like a shorter test, because that could be pretty draining.
Hopefully, I didn't know about that. So yeah, they could be a little depleted.
Yeah, I mean, and I can't imagine that they would have done like the full on thing, but I mean, who knows? But they just flew up from Australia, so that's a long flight. Like, you're going to be a little kind of depleted from that. I mean, I'm personally too old to do that. I mean, maybe they bounce back better than me. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how they go. I mean, hopefully they didn't do like a half Ironman on the trainer and the treadmill. I wouldn't think so.
All right. Well, the female start list is probably not as deep, but definitely some really good names still on there between Sarah Haskins, Lindsey Corbin, Beth, Liz, Lyles, Lauren Brandon,
Lauren Goss. I think, Haskins is starting her Kona campaign. She has 750 points from Miami, and then she DNF'd because of flats at Arizona. So she's probably looking to get some good points here. So it takes a little bit of the pressure off her first Ironman that she still has yet to get in. So hopefully, I think she'll be going for the win. She's been training in Claremont, so she's probably a little bit used to the heat. I'm sure it's not quite as warm as Panama, but there's something there. I just think, Lauren Brandon, obviously with her swim, she's not going to have the same gap that she usually does, just because of the down current swim, but she always pushes up front on the bike. I mean, she was off the bike in first at Pucon a couple weeks ago, and just announced she signed with Ventum. I don't know if you saw that.
Yep, saw that today.
Yeah. So I think she'll be jacked and ready to go. And she's also getting ready for her first Ironman at New Zealand in March. So she's definitely someone who's going to be fit. I just think, Lauren Goss is someone she's not going to like push the bike like crazy, especially in the heat. And she has been running really, really well. So if she runs kind of the way she's capable of running, I think she could pull back a couple minutes on someone like Haskins. She'll definitely run down Lauren Brandon. So, I mean, Goss could take the win. I just know she did Challenge Florida in November, took a break, and then is back training. She actually said her coaches didn't want her to do this race, but she said she was hard-headed and wants to do it. So we'll see who's right and who's wrong there. The coach might be like, I told you so, or she'll win and be like, oh, that was a good idea.
Yeah, we also have Lisa Roberts too, and she has a couple Ironman course records for running. So, I mean, if she's not too far behind on the swim and can stay on the run, she could come back on the run too.
Yeah, she's someone. And Liz Lyles. Liz is kind of a middle of the pack swimmer. She's not front pack, but she's good, and she's strong on the bike. So and she's smaller and does well in the heat on the run. So she's someone who's going to be moving up. Lindsey Corbin, you just don't know kind of what shape she's in. She was injured. I mean, she only raced once all year and had that stress fracture in her femur. So she's only had like 8 weeks of training. So she might not be that sharp, but I think she's probably looking forward to racing. You also have, you can't forget Dee Griesbauer, who seems like she has left Siri Lindley's coaching, and I think she's working with Julie Dibbins now. So that's kind of interesting. I heard Rachel Joyce say that on a podcast recently, that Dee had joined the group. So some interesting stuff. I mean, Heather Lendaway, she was second at Silverman this year. I think she came off the bike in first. So she's strong and she's a good swimmer as well. She just needs her run to be there for her. I think the women's race, will be quite similar to the men's. You'll see a lot of shuffling on that run.
Yeah, if anybody needs to grab some beers, Christy John is beer mile expert there. So she can come back.
Yeah, she was second. I think at the World Championships. She was across the line in third, but I guess they check your beers when you're, to make sure you've drank them all. And the second place gal, still had too much foam in her bottles or something like that. I don't know exactly how that works, but yeah, she was second. And I know she's been training hard down in Claremont. She's been posting on Instagram. So I'm sure she's ready to go, and she is a fierce competitor. Her one thing is sometimes she gets a little bit ahead of herself and forgets to kind of hydrate enough, and then suffers a bit on the run. But I think she's learning, and I don't think that's a mistake she'll make quite as much anymore.
So who are we looking at for the win on these two races? These might not be as clear cut as the other one.
No, I mean, what Tim Reed said, he hasn't done much training. So he'll probably go like rubbish, but maybe not.
He said he also has his best races on his worst training blocks too.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it'll him and Matt Sherbat are like the same stature. And I think that they'll do well in the heat. And, I think I'm going to go with Matt to win on the men's side. And then, cause he knows this course, and he's scrappy. And then on the women's side, that's a tougher one. I'm gonna have to say Sarah Haskins, but I think Lauren Goss is gonna give her a scare or maybe beat her.
Interesting.
What do you think?
I mean, I think it's gonna be a Canadian showdown. Actually, I don't know why I am saying that, but I think it's gonna be Sanders and Simons at the end.
Simons
Yeah.
is gonna turn red before he's so freaking pale. I just can't imagine.
But I would go with Sanders for the win for the men. And then, yeah, I actually agree with the Haskins. I feel like she's really strong at the 70.3 distance.
Yeah. I did some extrapolating though. Like at Miami, she only put like 2 or 3 minutes into Jen Spielander on the bike. And Jen was able to swim with her. Lauren Goss is able to swim with Jen and ride with Jen because we all rode together in Florida. So I think that if Lauren only has 2 to 3 minutes behind, if Lauren is only 2 to 3 minutes behind Haskins, like she's got a prayer. Because if Lauren runs like a 1:23, which she's totally capable of, even in that heat, I think she might be able to catch Haskins. But I don't know. That's why they do the race.
Yeah, not in extrapolation math stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But I just think Lauren is really strong on the run when she's really running well. But it's the first race of the season. You just never know.
Yep, began the season, so that's why you race and go get the points.
Exactly.
All right. Well, any final comments, Emily?
No, I think we got it. And, hopefully we gave a good rundown, and we'll see how right or wrong we are, I guess, after the races.
Yeah, definitely a new year. So we're hoping to make the triathlon preview show even bigger and better this year. So if you have any suggestions, leave the comments for us either on TRS forum or on iTunes. Reviews always help out. And make sure you use the code TRIPREVIEW on Rudy Project.
Yeah, awesome of Rudy Project to step up again. They've been a big supporter. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.